Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Not much. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday here. Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. We're here every night, 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is one of the highlights of my week. I don't know about yours, but I really like when we get together and talk about the things that we do because, we're trying to make that difference. And certainly you're doing that. I'm trying to do that. And together we're doing it.
We are. Let's call it Terrific Tuesday.
Terrific Tuesday. Okay, we'll go with Terrific Tuesday. But, tell people about your book real quick because we have some new viewers tonight. I want them to know all about what you're doing.
Sure. So my book, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt, is all about my journey of overcoming the cycle of toxic relationships and is really meant to help inspire other people to let them know that no matter how long they've been in a, domestic violence or toxic relationship type of relationship, they can decide to make a difference for themselves and change. No one deserves to be in a place where they don't feel safe, where they're walking on eggshells. And this is really a step-by-step guide on how they can overcome this and move on to create their best lives.
And how can people get a hold of that book?
Well, they can go over to my website, beinglovedshouldn'thurt.com, and they can actually request a signed copy. I will sign it to you. And if you would like me to write something to you, I can do that as well. Or you can head over to Amazon to go look up Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt, and you can get it directly from Amazon.
And you're also doing a podcast now, so you're staying very busy along with your beautiful family.
Yeah. Actually, if you go over to www.toxiclovepodcast.com and you have a listen, subscribe and give a review, you can be entered into a transformational VIP day with my husband and I. So definitely do that. Obviously, if it inspires you to write a review, but there's a lot of really great information, some tricks and tools to really help you heal wherever you're at currently.
Wow. And this is all on the Chapters Network, which is a network that has many various shows. It's all about empowering and advocacy. We try to do it through networking, collaboration, support, and providing that platform. We believe that telling a story, other people's story, their voices need to be heard each and every day, one chapter at a time. So we've been doing this for a number of years now. We celebrated our 10th anniversary on October 7th of last year. Steph, you were able to come. It was a beautiful gala. And we've been doing our show for just about 4 years now. I can't believe how time flies.
I know, it's amazing, but very good. I love being able to get out in front of a different audience and share and inspire other people to let them know that they can create something different. I mean, it's amazing when we started sharing this, how it's morphed into something more than just talking about romantic relationships, but really all relationships that maybe are holding us back from creating something better for ourselves.
Well, our guest today is a really special guest. Her name is Bilinda Blume, and she's from the New York area, and she does a lot of great work, stress and anxiety strategist. Be loved, understood, mindful, empowered, all the acronym for Blume. She put out a meditation video. We're going to show a little snippet of that before we bring her on. Let's check it out.
Letting go. Take some time now for you. Find a comfortable position with no distractions for a few minutes. Sitting in a comfortable position, take a nice, deep, long breath in through your nose and hold it. And release through your mouth, breathing all the way out and relaxing. And take another long, deep breath in through your nose, nice and slow, and holding it when you get all the way in. Hold it. And release the breath through your mouth, breathing all the way out, letting it all go. And now you're going to tense up your entire body. every part of your body, just tense it up. Tense up your face, your eyes, your jaw, your shoulders, your arms, your core, your stomach.
Wow,
Ooh,
it's working
ooh, that's
already.
good. I'm so relaxed.
I know. Now we got a show to do, Steph. So don't be
Woo.
too relaxed here.
I was going to dim the lights and get myself in the meditative positions. That sounded very relaxing.
Let's bring her on. Belinda, are you there?
Yes. Hi, how are you, Steve? Hi, Stephanie. So nice to be here with you.
Thank you for joining us today. Belinda, talk about that meditation video that we just saw.
Sure. First, I want the people that are watching to know we're going to put that link so people can enjoy the whole thing. I was doing it with myself. That meditation specifically is really short. It's a guided meditation. And the reason that I recorded that is because I have a lot of people that come to me and they feel like, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. One of the things they're doing is they think meditation means sit quietly in a room and close your eyes. And when this is running, we can't sit quietly in a room because the mind is just going, you're not good enough. Nobody likes you and you can't do this. And you have other things to do. Why are you sitting here doing nothing? Whatever the story that's running. And maybe you have like 100 stories at once. So having somebody speaking to you while you're meditating can quiet the mind and really help you to relax. And so that was how I started my meditation practice, by doing between 5 and 15 minutes a day of guided meditation. But I was in that position where I used to think, oh, meditation, that must mean I have to be quiet and I can't have any interruptions. But that wasn't the case. So I recorded a whole bunch of 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minutes just to get people into the practice. Now, after I practice, and that's the magic word, practice, not perfect. Now I'm able to I did a 5-hour meditation at a retreat, which was incredible. But that's not, you don't just jump to 5 hours and you can sit. So that's what that's about. And I do want to make sure we share it with people so that they have the opportunity to see what it's like to just have somebody else take over the mind and bring you some peace and relaxation for just a couple minutes.
I mean, that's wonderful. You mentioned stress and anxiety strategist. Explain that, what that means, and how do you help people, empower people?
So there are little tips and tools that you can use to relieve stress and anxiety. People, one of the things is being cautious to not label and say, I have anxiety or I am stressed out. So there's a thing called affirmations, and I don't believe that affirmations work, but super incantations, I know that they do. So an affirmation is when someone says, I'm so happy, or I feel amazing, or I'm grateful, or I'm abundant. And then they're supposed to look in the mirror and just magically feel this way. And that doesn't work, because the brain, if you're not feeling happy, if you're not feeling grateful, if you're not feeling loving or loved, your brain's going to say, no, that's not true. And the brain's going to give you all your reasons why that's not true. And so when we say something like, I know I am loved because, and I could use my dog for an example. I know I'm loved because my dog follows me around my house. He will not leave my room in the morning. He follows me downstairs. He follows me wherever I am in the house. And he always wants to give me all of his love and attention. So I know I'm loved. That's an incantation. But people do it the negative way a lot. They'll say, oh, I'm so stressed out because, that's the magic word. And then they'll tell you why they're stressed out. Now the brain has to prove us right. So now we get more and more stressed, because all the history of you ever being stressed out or ever having anxiety comes on your shoulders. And that's why as we get older, when we keep saying, I have anxiety, I'm stressed out, because it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And so when we just add that little word because, and we say, well, what is it you want to feel? And if you're feeling stressed out and anxious, I'm not saying just to feel happy, because sometimes we don't want to feel happy. Maybe we're really sad and we need to feel peace. Or maybe we're feeling really sad and we need to feel loved. Or we're feeling angry and we want to feel peace or gratitude. Or maybe it is joy or happiness. But adding that little word because, and then giving your brain proof, something specific that happened in the past that can say, I am happy because I took myself out and I got a massage last week. Whatever you did for yourself, that's true.
Wow. Hey, go ahead, Steph.
Well, I was going to say, that's actually a piece that I find is missing from a lot of people's healing journey, is that subconscious connection. We use something called Psych-K for that, which for anyone who doesn't know, most people don't. It's like the same family as NLP and EMDR, but it's energy psychology to help with the subconscious belief systems that we have.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, all day long we can tell ourselves these things, but if underlying we're feeling something else, it's not going to connect. It doesn't work. So our autopilot brings us to that negative place, if that's where we normally are, until we actually rewire and reconnect, the conscious brain and the subconscious brain. So I love that you're talking about that, because I love the meditations. I love all those things. And I think it's a big piece that some therapists are missing from their practice, is talking about the subconscious aspect.
Yes, and teaching also. I was in therapy for 20 years, so I have a big history with that. I went to 20 different therapists, and when I was going to the therapist, they were telling me to meditate. They were telling me to journal, giving me a lot of advice, and then also not showing me, well, what does that mean? How do I do that? And that's what I felt like was the missing piece of the puzzle. So now I guide people through the different tools that they can use, so they can see it, feel it, hear it, trust it, because they've experienced it themselves.
So Belinda, besides therapy, I mean, 20 years therapists that have helped you and empowered you along the way. What's been the most supportive focus of your life up to this point?
What does that mean? Supportive focus.
Like, the family, is family important to you, or friends? I mean, what has guided you to overcome that adversity?
I always knew there was some person inside of me, the little girl inside of me, really, that was happy. And I knew I wanted this extraordinary life, and I just really wanted to be happy. And I couldn't understand, why aren't I happy? Especially because to the outside world, it didn't make sense. Why wouldn't I be happy? I have a great life. I have the children, and I have a husband, and I have a home, and I have a good job. So why aren't I happy? And I was stuck living in past stories, and I had real serious life challenges. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I have a history of sexual abuse starting at the age of 3 by multiple people, physical abuse, mental abuse. I grew up very poor. I was living on my own by the time I was 16. I mean, there's just multiple things. And then there's things that I got divorced. I've experienced challenges with my adult children, having addiction issues. And so I've seen how I've navigated when I stayed in the story of, these are the things that happened to me. And I gave myself these labels, and I was happy about the labels. I was like, oh, I have anxiety. Thank God. I just thought, can I curse? I just thought I was a bitch. So I didn't understand, why would I get angry? Well, I know now it's because I felt helpless and hopeless, but I didn't want to feel that. I wanted to feel something that gave me more energy. So I used anger to get things done and to just be alive, because you have more energy in anger. But keeping myself in that story and the loop, I was specifically going to see talk therapists for those 20 years. And I was just talking about the same old thing, same thing. What was great is, along the line, I was learning everything from the people that now I get to share with other people. But then came a point where I was like, really? I'm talking about my mom? I'm going to be 40 years old in a couple of years. I'm still talking about my mom, and it's all her fault. And I love my mom. And now I recognize that the stories from my past are really my superpowers, because I can now help people get past the things that I've been able to go through and move past in an empowering way. And it really does require, it's like, if you needed to lose weight, you got to go to the gym, you got to eat healthy. It's not a secret. And so I feel like it is a little bit more of a secret when it comes to mental health, because when you look up mental health online, it says, go talk to a therapist, get some medication. And it doesn't say so much. I think it's changing, but it doesn't say, meditation necessarily. It doesn't say, let's start reprogramming what's going on in this mind, because we can literally reprogram the wiring in our brain. We know this now. So that's what I want to do, is just help empower people to know that they can make changes, and they have to want to do it. I've met people there in the beginning of their journey. They're not ready, and it's okay. Everybody gets to a different place at a different time. And wherever you are, there is somebody that can help you, and they'll meet you there as long as you go looking for it. But I'm really invested in the people that they are where I was right around when I turned 40. I'm 50 now. And so at 40, I was at that point that I was ready to go and make that little shift that just changed everything for me. And now I'm in the position where I can serve and I can give back to other people.
So I have a question for you. So one of the things that I think is so important, and it's been a topic that keeps coming up like a lot lately, is that we don't have to take action on every feeling that we have. And I think that so often we're in this reactive mode. And so like this feeling comes up and we act on it. So like we're in a crappy relationship and it feels bad to leave, so we stay in it because it's what we know, although we don't want to be in it, but we feel uncomfortable and worried about leaving it. So we're like stuck in this cycle, where instead, if we can start thinking about what we think about and then make a conscious decision on what we are going to take action on, we can actually change the direction. So we work on the subconscious part, and then we also focus on making conscious decisions about our behaviors. How do you find that works for your patients in your practice? Because I'm sure that that's something you've had conversations with them about.
So there's something that happens before the feeling, and it's the thought. And we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts. Women, I know we have more, or a man and the feminine. When you have 60 to 70,000 thoughts, you are not focusing your attention on all of them. So we choose which one's standing out. And when we grab onto a thought, that's the moment that we're focused on that thought. And where our focus goes, our attention goes, that's where the energy flows. And energy in motion, that is your emotion. So your emotions come from what thought are you choosing to focus your attention on? And that's really where I like to empower people. My husband and I, we now get to play games with that, where we say, hey, you want to know what the brain thought? Because we're not the brain. We're not the mind. That's just this thing that's a little computer keeping track of the data of our lives. I believe that who we really are is in our heart. And so guiding your attention to when something comes to you and you hold on to that thought and you start to feel bad about it, sad about it, angry about it, I tell people, put your hands on your heart and ask your heart, what do I really want to feel right now? What do I really want to focus my attention on right now? Your heart is super smart. You put your hand on your heart and you ask your heart a question and really focus all of your attention there. The answer is going to be really short, like 1, 2, 3 words. When you're in your head, you're dead. When you're in your heart, you're smart. We've heard this before. When you're in your head, you're going to have like paragraphs, books of the blah, 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 blah. That's when you know that you're in the mind, because the mind has so much information and it wants to just share. So getting ourselves to recognize it's just a thought. It's just a thought. My husband, I'm going to share a quick story. My husband does not suffer at all with anxiety. He never has. He's had it a couple times in his life. He's like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. And he told me recently, he said, I got to tell you what the mind thought, because we play this game because it's just a thought. We were at an event with somebody and he shared details of this invention that he has. And they decide they're going to work on it. And this woman's lovely. She's like 9 months pregnant. They said, oh, we're going to meet tomorrow morning. We're going to have a meeting. He's texting her. She's not answering the next morning. And he comes into me. He goes, oh, you want to hear what the mind thought? I go, what did the mind think? She just joined the event to steal my idea. And she's never coming back because we have a 5-day event. I was like, she's probably not even pregnant. So we've learned that this mind, if you can just grab the thought and recognize what it is and be able to just kind of giggle at it and say, it's not so serious. It's just a thought. It's when we grab it, we give it the power.
Wow. I know, Belinda, you have to run, but how can people contact you, track you down, or fully understand of the complete work that you do?
So right now I'm getting in process to build a whole new community for people that enjoy this kind of podcast, this kind of discussion. So that's up and coming. But right now, belindablume.com, callwithbelinda.com. Those are the best ways. I'm also on Facebook. We could probably share a link. And so on social media.
Yes. And Stephanie, she is one of the lead vocalists of our new band, the Chapters Network All-Star Band. And she's an amazing singer. We don't have time for her to sing, but she is amazing. And what an addition she is to our network. So, Belinda, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very, very much for joining us today. You know, seeing Stephanie and you in the same room, you're both doing amazing work, and it's just a blessing to have you on board.
Oh, thank you. It's really my pleasure. I'm honored that you asked me to. Thank you, Stephanie and Steve. You're doing amazing work in this community. I appreciate both of you taking care of this work.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Stephanie, amazing guest. I mean, Belinda's just one of those great guests that doing great things. We'll say goodbye to Belinda, and we'll see her
Bye, Belinda.
road. But she is one of the lead singers for our band. You got to see her sing. She's an amazing person.
That's amazing. Do you have any recordings? I mean, obviously not right now. We're not going to throw that in there, but we'll definitely have to put on some of our stuff. And, you know, I love, Steve, that's one of the things that's so great about you is that you're always out in the community. You're always sharing about all the great things that you do. And because you do that, you attract so many people towards you that can help really get the word out for whatever it is that people are going through. And I think that's something that we keep needing to remind ourselves is that fear that we might have about sharing who we are and what we want and what we do can keep us back from meeting and experiencing such great things. So thank you for being able to go out there in the community and share all the great things you do.
No, when I just met Belinda recently, a couple of months ago, she went to one rehearsal, and at the referral to the lead guitarist of the band, we met, and I saw all the amazing things that she does, and instantly I wanted to get her on our show. And she's only been to one rehearsal. She's a professional singer, but obviously she's really making a difference in this world. And I think the old New York lottery thing, you have to be in it to win it. I think you have to. I've always taken that approach where I don't ask questions. If I'm out in the community doing what I do, connecting with people, the story is going to unfold right in front of you, and not even worrying about the results of it. Even how we met a couple of years back. I mean, it was by chance. I interviewed you. We sat down a week later or so, and we started this show. And, you know, 4 years later, we're still doing it. And I've learned so much from the work that you do, but also the relationship you have with your husband, what you've overcome, and your passion to raise your family in the way that you do, but at the same time to empower women and other people that are out there.
Thank you. You know, it really is interesting. I think that when you start following where your heart takes you, and, you know, just like what Belinda said, like your brain can say all this junk and it gets in the way, but if you just follow where your heart goes, I think it can bring you to some really amazing things. And I've come to learn that if I feel the pull from my chest, if I feel the pull to do something or say something, I don't ask questions anymore. I just do it. And that was literally what it was for you. I was invited to a breast cancer awareness event by somebody else. It's a mutual friend of ours, Liddy, if you remember. And she had heard about me or seen me somewhere. And she's like, oh, 50 top women in business. Actually, I met her at that event. And I actually felt a pull to talk to her. So I'm like, all right, this is random. I'm just going to go talk to this lady I don't know. And then her and I connected. She's like, you need to come to this event. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll do that. And then I met you. And then all this, I mean, for the past 4 years, we've been doing this great show. Had I not done that initial, interaction with her at that 50 top women in business, none of this would be happening. So I'm always amazed at how cool it is that when you just follow where you are led, the things that are positive led, not the fear part that tells you, like, that scares you to do the things you want to do, but that positive place that pulls you, follow it, and you'll be amazed at where you end up.
And that person, Liddy, actually asked me the night before. It was after 6 o'clock, I remember. She said, Steve, you do anything the next day? And I said, well, I can, what do you need? I said, I need you to interview some people. I said, I'm there. So I could have said no, and then we wouldn't have been here either. And you wouldn't have had the opportunity to interview Denzel Washington a couple years back.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just all these little things that just came together. And then this is where we are. You know, one of the reasons why I found out about the top 50 women in business was because I had joined Long Island Center for Women in Business. And actually, like 3 weeks ago now, they called me up, you know, 3 weeks ago, 7 years ago, or whatever it was. They called me up and said, hey, do you want to come and ring the bell at the stock exchange? And I said, sure. And I figured it out. You know, the next day I'm like, let's go do it. And so again, all of those things, all those opportunities, when you start saying yes to the opportunities that the universe, God, whatever it is that you want to call it, when you get those opportunities put in front of you, if it feels like something in alignment, do it. You know, we'll figure it out later. All of those things, we'll figure it out. But again, every single decision comes with the consequence of something like good or bad. And the cool thing is if it didn't work out, then it didn't work out. But at least you jumped on the opportunity. You know, there's always a learning experience at the very least.
Exactly. Even our engineer, Jack, I mean, he wasn't versed on StreamYard or doing things behind the scenes, and he learned it, and he does a magnificent work. And I want to compliment him for the work that he does for this show and other shows on the network. It is about taking chances. It is about taking that risk. It is about feeling uncomfortable. And I know Bilinda talked about anxiety and meditation. If you have a little bit of anxiety into the important things or the things that you do, I think that's okay if you can manage it, because it kind of, for me, it motivates me to overcome that anxiety and be the best person I possibly can at whatever I'm doing at that moment.
Oh, yeah. I actually just had this conversation with my clients last night is, you know, I don't like public speaking. I actually really don't, even though I'm a teacher and I did it for 18 years and I talk all the time for a living. There's something about being in person and public speaking. It's not my favorite thing. But I do it. And so the thing is that you can grow out of that little box that's keeping you stuck. And the only way you can do that is you keep pushing through. But if you avoid it, if I were to avoid all the time public speaking, I wouldn't have half the opportunities that I've had and been able to meet half the people that I've met. So, you know, and another thing too, is that keep in mind that the only way to grow is to push through discomfort, because even though it might feel uncomfortable at the time, we have to remember that it's actually way more uncomfortable to stay stuck than it is to expand into the greatness that we were put here to be.
No doubt. And real quick, what I loved about our guest, Bilinda Blume, is that she's working hand in hand with her husband. You're doing the same thing. I mean, that's a message in itself, because really the American dream is to do that with family and to grow together as a family, as a couple in that relationship. But if you could help others, empower others, you're doing it. It could go unspoken just by the work that you're doing collaboratively. So I knew that this was going to be a great show because of the connection that you guys share.
Awesome. And I think that we also just, again, taking that pain and using it to help inspire other people makes it like there's a reason for it. So, you know, I think Bilinda shared it so well. All of the terrible things that she experienced, she could have lived that over and over again, or she could take it and help other people, which is what we firmly believe here at Kicking Healthy Relationships to the Curb.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think we have to be reminded that at all times to grow and to heal and to cope with all of life's challenges. Stephanie, thank you so very much. Another show in the books here. We're here every Tuesday night from 6 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching this show, share it, like it, and make a comment or two. We'd love to have you on the show in the future. Steph, have a great night.